I finished watching Diddy's documentary, The Reckoning, yesterday, but there's some things that I still can't get off of my mind. As a millennial, some of the things that were covered were not that shocking to me because I've heard the rumours before. There's always been theories that Diddy was behind Tupac's death, that he was behind Biggie's death. We heard about the freak-offs. So on the surface, a lot of it wasn't a shock to me, but the details in evidence, especially from the people that were in close proximity to Diddy, had me thinking, wow, we had no idea. And there are some details that have shocked me to my core. There's quite a few for me to choose from, but one of the ones that I can't get out of my mind is when the sex worker was talking about the 9th of March. He said he couldn't understand why on the 9th of March every single year, like clockwork, Diddy would fly him out to have sex with him and Cassie. Do you know what the 9th of March marks? The anniversary of Biggie's death. So you mean to tell me, on top of allegedly being the cause of Biggie's death, on top of making it look like you were going to fund and plan his funeral, but really you were charging it to Biggie, switching out the terms of his contract to favour Bad Boy Entertainment, then taking his magazine cover opportunities because you wanted to be him so bad wasn't enough. That wasn't enough for Diddy. On top of all of that, he was doing annual freak-offs on the same day as the anniversary of his so-called best friend's death. Do you know how twisted you have to be? This man was going for women of the men that he was obsessed with. His baby mums and ex-girlfriends all had history with men that he wanted to be, that he wanted to emulate. Another part that shocked me was when Keith D admitted that after shooting Tupac, when the ambulance and police arrived, they were standing right there laughing. At the scene of the crime, they were standing there smoking and drinking and laughing, and the police and the ambulance were none the wiser that it was them. That it was them that had shot Tupac. How sinister. And then Diddy phoned them and was like, yo, was that us? Yo, was that us? Because he ordered the hit. I've always felt that Diddy had a dark nature, but after seeing this documentary, his darkness has no bounds. It has no bounds. The man is not okay. Like, I can't get over it, guys. I can't.
Guys, have you seen the new documentary about Diddy on Netflix, The Reckoning? Oh my goodness, there is so much information in that series that was not known to the public. This really makes me think there is no ethical billionaire. Like, no one ever garnished so much wealth and power by doing the right thing. How Diddy was able to build himself up was crazy. Like, the exploitation in this documentary was insane. Like, you mean to tell me of all these people that was working for him, he never paid them as much as they needed to be paid? That is crazy
I
work.
feel like Diddy Mama Wiggs let us know that she was both the villain and the victim. I don't know. I feel like the writer's been on the wall with her for a long time. You know what I'm saying? And not absolving her of anything, but it's not surprising to see that a lot of his energy came from how he was raised. That's across the board. A lot of the things that we learn, a lot of our traumas and stuff, it start right at home. So to hear the type of movies and TV that she had him watching, and the fact that he felt like he had to be who his daddy was or move like his daddy moved, and that his mother like adorned him with all of these like extravagant articles of clothing and like always dressing him up to be whatever was hot in the moment, that's why he was just a chameleon. That's all this man was. He literally just leached and personified talent around him. That's why we saw so many different versions of Diddy, because Diddy never knew who he was, and he never knew fundamentally from a child. You see what I'm saying? It always starts at home. A lot of it starts at home. So we're not surprised. And again, the wigs. I feel like, I don't know, the wigs just always was there.
I usually mind my business. But I watched that Sean Combs' The Reckoning documentary last night. And I just want to say, I seen, for the past 3 days, I've been seeing people on the internet like, oh, fuck 50 Cent. He working for the white man. The white man got 50 Cent doing this to a black man, this, that, and the other. This is the problem with black people. Y'all will protect Diddy, who has done nothing but do everything in his power to take and exploit black people his whole career. Every person he placed himself next to, it was about himself. Put artists on and charge them to be in their own videos. They didn't even ask for this nigga to be in the video. He in the video and he gonna charge you. He gonna charge you $400,000, $500,000 to be in their video. It want me to feel bad for Diddy. Like Diddy ever gave his own people. Like, how many lives, black lives, since Black Lives Matter, right? How many black lives have been lost in correlation to Diddy? And not just through death. I'm talking about through trauma, SA, extortion, bribery. What? Biggie was scared for his life. Whole time he didn't even know his Diddy was setting him up, leading him right into the death. Leading him right to his death. Going to the UK radio station, Biggie. I'm finna walk you to your death. I'm finna start the whole East Coast, West Coast war. And then play innocent. And act like you don't understand the problem with you. You don't understand. Oh, no, man, it's all love, man. Do nothing but destroy his own people. And you mad because another black man calling him out for how many lives he destroyed? You look around Diddy. You look at Diddy, bro. Ain't nothing but a trail of tears with this. Of grown men crying. And y'all want to keep talking some, free Diddy. He ain't for us. Go back to the hood until he got shamed for being a deviant about people. And then for him to say, oh, I need to take a bath because you a handshake on the street. He don't even like his own people, but y'all so ready to defend Diddy.
The use of intimidation and essay and violence in this documentary was very dark. Like, something about this documentary is very, very dark. It makes me uncomfortable to even talk about it. I think he did all of this stuff to garnish power, to gain power. I believe that he was destiny swapping for some reason. I'm not sure, but I think there's something sinister about his behavior. Allegedly, because, like, think about it, in the documentary, when 9 people died at the event that he was hosting, his career took off. I don't know. There's something unsettling about this whole
I
thing.
just got done watching that Diddy show on Netflix. That man deserves so much more time, bruh, and so much more of a reckoning. That is crazy. Like, we let a whole sociopath just roam around the streets doing the shit he was doing to women, men, human in general. And that man only got that little amount of time? Bruh.
Sean Combs' Reckoning documentary was incredibly eye-opening, but I thought that for a few reasons. One of them being everybody involved can't stand him. They cannot stand that man. But also, they did a really good job at making sure that everything they said, they'd put like alleged in front of it. But there's a lot of hearsay. And that's because you're dealing with a lot of like gang situations where, snitches get stitches. Nobody's going to actually tell you what happened. What I think it did the best job at doing is connecting how Puff Daddy, Puffy, P. Diddy, whatever you want to call him, has always been around violence and chaos, but has somehow always escaped it. He's never the main person you're talking about. I think it shows how he set up and orchestrated a lot of things in Hollywood to happen. The documentary even included some of the jurors, and you can tell that they're missing all of the nuance. They're like starstruck by the fact that they are literally sitting there in front of a celebrity, despite what they say. I don't think I knew that he had involvement in half the things he did. And boy, did I learn a lot.
So I just finished watching Sean Combs' The Reckoning. And I left this documentary thinking that it was inevitable for him to be who he is. He already had the DNA from his daddy, right? And then the upbringing from his mother with the physical abuse, the verbal abuse, how she raised him. She was trying to create a carbon copy of her husband. Or of his dad. I don't know if they were married, of his dad. The music industry was a facade of a legal industry, and how he controlled, manipulated, and hurt people. Think about this. Everybody that was in his orbit has either died, right? Was harmed, or went to prison. And to me, that says it all for me. I think about all the artists from Bad Boy. Where are they? all of the making the bands, the band, Danny D. Kane, Day 26. Like, I remember in the early 90s hearing those stories about Sean Combs. And the thing that also just put the nail in the coffin for me was I do believe the stories. Diddy was a jealous man. Think about this. Anybody that he cared about or he wanted to be in control of, he had to get rid of certain individuals. Think about it. Biggie and Tupac were close. They were friends. Biggie really didn't want any beef with Tupac. Diddy was jealous of that. He was jealous of that relationship. Because at the time, Tupac was trying to mess with Biggie. He wasn't really feeling Diddy. Diddy was not the guy that Tupac was trying to really mess with at that time, right? Tupac ends up being killed. First, he was set up and robbed at a studio in New York. Then all of a sudden in Las Vegas, he passed away. Okay. Then we got, think about this. Kim was with Al B. Shore at the beginning. Well, Sean and Al B. Shore were cool. They was homies. But that was Al B. Shore's girl. Moved Al B. Shore out the way. Ryan Leslie came to Diddy with Cassie, right? Even though they were together, he wrote those songs or whatever. All of a sudden, he stopped showing up to the studios. He gets Cassie by herself. Ryan Leslie's out the picture. It's just, and think about this. Even the shooting in New York, everybody says it was Diddy, but who took the fall? Shine. The Craig Mack situation, the Mace situation. And when you are a charismatic manipulator and you can market your ass off, that was a recipe for success on an industry level, but a recipe for disaster because now you're creating a God complex. And, 50 Cent, I know people think he was trolling, but this is a good-ass documentary. And again, Diddy was destined to be this man. He was groomed by his mother to be this man. As a mother of sons, we contribute to a lot of how our sons grow up in the world. Very few are able to redirect or course correct the shit from what their parents taught them. This is what she wanted. And I do believe at the end of the day, these are all of his choices, but he never really stood a chance. He never stood a chance. And he is a monster. He was a monster. He still is a monster. And kudos to this documentary. But he was destined to be this man. He was just destined to be. And finally, all of his wrongdoing has led him into where he is right now, jail. Like I said, everybody around him has either died, was abused or hurt, lost their careers. No one that was around Diddy has ended up in a better place. So y'all be careful with those type of individuals because they want you to be loyal to them, but they're not loyal to you. They're not loyal to you. And so I don't know if y'all seen it, but if you have, what are your thoughts?
The saddest part about this documentary to me, the story, is the co-owner of Bad Boys, right? How are you going to tell me that this man is broke and homeless and living on the street and he doesn't have money? He started a company with Diddy. You can tell the man all he wanted to do was just work. You can tell he was just doing all the work. And then Diddy came with like a baseball bat, forced this guy to sign over his 20% share to him that he was going to give it back. He had a 20% on 25% share in the company, but Diddy like threatening him with a baseball bat to sign it over to him that he was going to pay it back. And then one would have think like, why would he even give it up? Like he's naive thinking that Diddy was going to give it back. But if you think about it, he just wanted to work. He didn't think that even if he didn't give it back, he was gonna fire him from the company. His story is just, I don't know, his story is just really sad to me.
If you're gonna sit here and tell me that Diddy did not Biggie and Tupac, you're smoking.
The trend that I noticed in this Diddy docuseries is that a lot of the folks that decided to finally speak up are people who spoke up not because they saw someone else getting hurt, but because they themselves got hurt. All this time, everyone knew what was happening to Cassie, but no one said anything. His producer spoke up because he didn't get paid. Now, yes, I know he was a victim, but he did not speak up until he did not get his money. A lot of these people who were sticking beside Diddy let him do whatever he wanted for years. It wasn't until they themselves became a victim to whatever Diddy was doing that now all of a sudden they got something to say. Everyone knew what Diddy was doing. Y'all knew he was responsible for Biggie and Tupac's death, but no one said anything. Y'all knew he was beating Kim Porter. Y'all said nothing. Y'all knew he was out here taking wives and girlfriends of his colleagues, but y'all said nothing. You guys also knew it was weird that he had this God complex, and y'all said nothing. I don't know, it just seems as if Diddy just finally pissed off the wrong person.
A close friend of Biggie has come out to say that some of the things that were said in the documentary about Diddy, The Reckoning, were not true. So you know how they mentioned in the documentary that Diddy wanted to create this big, huge funeral for Biggie? Then allegedly they say that Diddy didn't really pay for it out of pocket. It really just came from basically Biggie Smalls' money. Well, Biggie's friend is here to say that that is not true because he was the one who was handling the finances with Biggie's mom. And he said that Diddy did pay for everything. He paid for the cars, he paid for, the place, the flowers, everything. Biggie's friend also says that him and Biggie's mom had reviewed all the royalty statements and nothing came up for funeral arrangements or anything like that. And he also states that there weren't any Biggie contracts and Diddy contract beefs at the time of Biggie's passing. He says that Life After Death, the album, was recouped. So you know how they mentioned that the Rolling Stone reached out to Biggie and they wanted him on the cover? And Puff Daddy was like, no, I need to be on that cover instead. Apparently, that didn't really happen either. Biggie's friend said that there was never a Rolling Stone cover presented to Biggie's team that he's aware of. Now, this is from Wayne Barrow, I believe that's his last name. And this is Biggie's friend. He was really close with Biggie's mother. And yeah, what I'm finding hard to believe is that Kirk was also managing the money for Diddy and everything like that. So it's you would think he would know where the money is going and if Diddy actually really paid fully for that funeral for Biggie, or if it was really Biggie's money that he used. So I'm just gonna go with I have no idea, because after seeing the documentary, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he did that. And it does kind of sound like something he would do. You know what I'm saying? He wanted it all about him. Diddy wanted everything to be about him. What do you guys think? Do you guys believe that Diddy paid for Biggie's funeral expenses all by himself, or did he use Biggie's money to do it? Let me know down below.
I just want to say, as a South African, this jury system in the United States is honestly the biggest downfall, because after watching the Sean Combs The Reckoning documentary, I am so livid, guys. Because what do you mean those two jurors were basically saying that, Cassie decided to go back to him, and so that on its own does not prove just how much of an abusive man this is? Then on the one hand, you're admitting that because you grew up listening to Diddy, now you are suddenly saying that you're not biased and that you can't look at Diddy. But then one moment when he reacts to Capricorn's statement, and now you guys see what he does, and then you guys are also in the same reaction as if you guys are giving each other this affirmation, a stamp of approval. Luguti, yeah, we also don't understand what you just come on, guys. I honestly cannot believe what I was hearing. Personally, I cannot believe what I was hearing, because I'm how do jurors get vetted, guys? Common sense surely must be there somewhere as a checklist, because no way those two individuals said the things that they said. And of course, this being the ultimate outcome, which is why I'll always say that where stardom resides, justice will forever be compromised, because there's just so many parallels between Diddy's life and case versus that of OJ. If you really think about it, it's pretty much the same strategy. And while people might want to deny it, but I also feel like Diddy's influence actually worked for him. Like, there was an entire PR machine outside, right? Outside of the courts, but also he has this thing about him in court where, because people, it could be the first time that they're meeting their celebrity, they obviously feel some type of way, even though they're actually meant to be very objective. But I feel like that really had a lot to do with this image that Diddy has upheld for so many years as this epitome of Black excellence. And it's pretty much what got him off of a lot of the heavy charges during this case. And the reason why I keep coming back to the idea of common sense is that why is it so hard for people to fathom that where there's money, there's power, and where there's power, there's dominance, and of course, this power dynamic that exists, right? Because it means, Uti, the more you have, the more you can control. And that's exactly what happened with Diddy, guys. And, I think with him, it really got to his head, because while I think theoretically, he really wanted to rep his people, putting them on and doing good for them, he also realized that he has to do it in such a way where people don't notice. And that's why I keep saying, like, he used rather this image of Black excellence to his advantage, so that people don't necessarily call him out until people find themselves in situations with him. Then they would realize, man, this guy udlale ngami, and I feel like he did that with everyone. And still on the topic of influence and power, I think one of the most startling things for me was that phone call in the first episode where he kept saying that, because another lawsuit came up, and the fact that now he has to pay for this BS and whatever. So he's so used to throwing money at everything because people and the system allowed him to do so with no punishment, with nothing whatsoever. I think as far as punishments went, he obviously was arrested for possession of a firearm. It was him and Shine with that particular story. And Shine was also just describing how, I think it was Shine, where he was describing how, this man's lawyers who are also supposed to represent him didn't care about him. They actually care more about Diddy and him getting out. So the questions that were asked towards the witnesses at that particular event did not make any sense, meaning that there was nothing solid, that they could say that, okay, Shine wasn't the shooter, but rather it was Diddy himself. Then on to this whole Biggie and Tupac situation, it made so much sense that Diddy was actually very jealous of Biggie and Tupac's friendship, because from my understanding, after watching all of these Notorious B.I.G. documentaries, as well as Impiloga Tupac, there was never anything between the two of them, aside from the fact that they came from different areas. But the one person who was at the center of the mess was definitely Diddy, because he could also see that these two are going to become bigger than him. And so he didn't allow that. And so that's the reason why the situation became what it was. Even though, yes, right now it's still alleged, but why would Biggie's mom also have an issue with Diddy specifically? Why was he so jealous? Why did he want to always start trouble when it came to Tupac? Why is it that when he was having his freak-offs with, that male gigolo and Cassie, at the moment a Tupac song came on, he would just get so annoyed? Bekahlanya le ndoda, bekahlanya. And for the mere fact that Suge Knight still won't say ukuthi kwenzakalani, must just tell you everything, because I think he also knew that Diddy was also just as connected, and so this would literally just cause war at this rate. Now, moving on from his professional relationships, I want to get into the more personal relationships that he had developed as a result of the working relationships that he had, specifically on Lil Rod, because what was done to Lil Rod is actually so dead wrong, bruh. Like, he realized that he was caught up in a situation where he looked up to this man, and this man was literally playing him. The fact that he didn't even pay him for that album, the fact that he would basically pump substances into his system to a point where he would feel sore the next day and couldn't even explain why. Then onto the Danny T. Kane situation and how he isolated, I think it's Audrey O'Day, and just how she was highlighted. And those emails, honey, this man incriminated himself. Like, he knew what he was doing, but he just thought he would get away with it, which in for the most part, he actually did. Because how does it explain that Audrey was drugged and seemingly someone actually saw that she was taken advantage of, and she even couldn't remember? There's a pattern, guys. There's a pattern, which is why I'm so angry at the jurors, because what do you mean they couldn't figure out this pattern? What do you mean they couldn't figure it out? Because this man was an abuser. This man was an abuser, and it's quite shameful that victims were never really looked out for when they decided on which charges he was guilty of. Because I was just like, this is very traumatic. I think moving on to the dirty money situation, and how Dawn also, who used to write for him, because again, she is mesmerized by the idea of being with someone who's got so much money. She knows that her career is going to move forward and everything. But now this relationship that existed there, only to find that she was also enduring, assault while she was supposedly with Diddy, or whatever you want to call it. And why was he so shocked when, she decided to come forward? Because it takes one brave person, and which was Cassie in this case, for everyone else to essentially mention their stories. I remember there was a lady, I apologize if I forgot her name, but in the beginning of the episode, where she spoke about how Diddy had basically sexually assaulted her, and nobody believed her. And the moment she said that Cassie spoke up about this relationship, it kind of gave her relief to say that she wasn't the only one, not in a bad sense, but it would make her story a lot more believable, because people didn't want to believe her, because they believed in Diddy more because of the influence and the power that he had. So it's, guys. And of course, just with the Cassie situation, I don't understand, like, how people can just dismiss all of that footage and act like this person is a saint. I don't understand it. Or maybe because I come from a country where abuse is it's a pandemic, guys. It's a pandemic, meaning that people across the rest of the world do not take abuse very seriously, and what abuse really is by definition. Because as a juror, there's no way you're going to be saying that just because someone made up with their abusive partner that they knew what they were getting themselves into, taking away everything else that formed the relationship. The fact that this person was controlling, this person isolated the victim and did so many things. How do you not separate that, guys? Yeah. Like, if you're not angry after watching this documentary, I have news for you. You are also part of the problem. You are also an enabler, because there's nothing good about this man. The fact that his own kid, his son Christian must also be implicated, because he learned that behavior from his father. And I understand why Albie Shaw's son, Quincy, also wants nothing to do with this man, because he is very vile, and his vileness is just spreading to his offspring, and that's just what it was. But anyway, that's me, and I urge you guys to actually go check it out. And if you guys are not angry, then I'm sorry, but you are also a part of the problem when it comes to these matters within society, okay?
This is what happens when you allow a lane to get this much motion. So, the last 3 days since the Sean Combs' The Reckoning has dropped on Netflix, I've watched it twice, and this is a spoiler alert, so anybody ain't seen it, go on about your business. You ain't woke. You not for the culture. You not for the people. Goodbye. Because you should not. It's day 3? Day 2? You should have seen it already. It's already number 1. Go ahead. It's a must see. I don't even watch documentaries like that. That's not my thing. And I don't react to things like this all the time. But baby, this was for the culture. And 50 Cent, you did your biggest one. And thank you so much. Because it's 2025, people. And we not about to act like Tupac. It's just like he didn't orchestrate Tupac anymore. We're not letting the man fly under the radar no more. We're not letting abusers fly. We're not letting manipulators fly. None of that there. Narcissists fly. None of puppet master tier of the year. He's done, canceled forever. Never really liked his cornball. That's lame. And him and his kids locked their him and his kids and his terrible wig wearing ass mama. But thank you so much, 50 Cent. I really appreciate you for waking the culture up. I hate when they try to make it seem like, oh, it's petty, he being petty, and ooh. We already know 50 Cent is a great storyteller. And this is his range of projects that he would do. He's an executive producer. That he do nothing wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. He literally just put it out there for us to see it in black and white so we could stop having the theories and this and that. And the evidence, the proof to back it up. If y'all don't lock this man back up, he better not come out and not get back locked up. He ain't gonna make it anyway, because we already know what he did. The most diabolical thing about the docuseries was a couple things. I'm gonna say the most to me was the fact that the man, the biggest funeral for Biggie, and had the man, Biggie, pay for his own funeral. Death. Alive him. Bleep that out. Like, this is needed for the culture. We all needed to see this in real time, in the way it was so well structured, crafted, the way they put the timelines together. They went all the way back from when he was a little ass peon, goofy. He's just a all around in his little fur jackets with his mama little thought ass, and they're kissing right now. Like, please. I just appreciate 50 Cent for allowing the victims of all the cases that was dropped and to be seen in her, and him putting it together like how we needed to see it, and how let the truth speak for itself. Okay? Let the facts speak for itself. Let the evidence speak for itself. We are no longer living in the times where we can just pretend like things aren't happening, because we're woke now. Thank you very much. Go watch the docuseries. Thank you, 50. We appreciate you.
Finished watching the Sean Combs The Reckoning, and I just cannot believe that at the end of this, after seeing everything that he has done, since 1992, the year I was born, 33 years he has been doing this, and still jurors in the documentary are like, I don't know, she was just too emotional and it made her less believable. I don't know, it just seemed kind of crazy. He kidnapped you? Yeah, okay. Honestly, I fear for people that have to go to a juror trial, because they probably never experienced being that evil, that conniving, that manipulative, that just deviant, manipulative, evil. Couldn't comprehend that because they've never experienced it in their life. And he's gonna get away with it! He basically got away with it. It blows my mind. Blows my mind. I feel absolutely disgusted and sick and sad for Cassie and Capricorn and all the people, Kirk, and just Lil Rod. Oh my god. Bro, disgusted, sick over how they put their ass and their life on the line to come out and stand against him, and still justice was not served. The jurors absolutely sucked. I'm so sorry. You guys deserved so much more, and I really hope that thank God for 50 Cent, I really hope after this documentary that somehow you'll feel any sort of peace, comfort, support, and encouragement, knowing that if the jurors didn't believe you, at least everybody else believes you after this. I believe you. I believe you. I believe everything you said 100% to be true. And I'm so sorry. Just absolutely disgusting, evil, an absolute monster.
The way people around him followed him, the way they loved him, the way they were so invested, in something they believe is bigger than themselves, it's giving it's giving a cult following. I was very uncomfortable watching this whole documentary. I believe there might be another case coming or against him because of this documentary. Because if you do remember, that's what happened to Al Kelly. When the whole documentary came out about him, there was so much charges, and then he ended up in prison. Because there is so much information in this documentary that was not known in the public, and there's this evidence, and it's just looking like they might build another case against this guy. And I don't know, just let me know if you have seen this documentary and what do you think about it. What are your thoughts Make sure you leave your comment in the comment section below, and thank you for watching, and I will see you all in my next video.